Hello, today we'll be having a go at the following algebra question. Let's have a look at the question. Let a, b, and c be positive real numbers. Solve the equation square root of a plus bx plus square root of b plus cx plus square root of c plus ax equals the square root of b minus ax plus the square root of c minus bx plus the square root of a minus cx. There's quite a lot of variables. You have three constants a, b, and c, which are positive real numbers, and we are solving this equation for x. So we're trying to find all possible values of x that satisfy this equation. First thing we could try is to guess what type of values of x would satisfy the equation. So a very simple potential value for x would be x equals 0. So x equals 0 is a pretty simple number. And what happens if we try to substitute x equals 0 into the equation? What happens is the left-hand side of the equation is just going to become square root of a plus the square root of b plus the square root of c. This is because x is 0, so the bx, cx, and ax are all equal to 0. And now if we substitute x equals 0 into the right-hand side, we will also have ax, bx, and cx are all equal to 0. And we'll get the right-hand side will be square root of b plus the square root of c plus the square root of a. And we can see the left-hand side and the right-hand side are equal because square root of a plus the square root of b plus the square root of c is equal to the square root of b plus the square root of c plus the square root of a. So the question is, are there any more solutions to this equation apart from x equals 0, or is x equals 0 the only solution? So let's find out. If you have a look at the left-hand side, just the left-hand side is equal to a plus bx, a square root of a plus bx plus the square root of b plus cx plus the square root of c plus ax. And also remember, a, b, and c are all positive real numbers. So the question is, what happens if we increase x? So what happens when x increases? So remember, a and b are positive. This means a plus bx will increase. A plus bx increases as x increases because a and b are positive. And also remember that the square root function increases as the value inside the square root function increases. So it also means the square root of a plus bx increases. So what we have is, if x increases, it means the square root of a plus bx increases. And the same thing happens for the square root of b plus cx and the square root of c plus ax. So it follows that the square root of b plus cx will also increase, and the square root of c plus ax will also increase. So since each of these three square root terms increases as x increases, it means if we add them all together, the whole sum increases. So this entire expression increases as x increases. So what would a graph of the left-hand side look like? So we know as x increases, the left-hand side increases. Another thing to recall is the square root function is only defined when x is at least 0. So for example, square root of y only defined when y is at least 0. So it means there's a minimum value of x where the left-hand side is defined, and the minimum value of x must satisfy all of these three things at least 0, and one of them is going to be 0. So if we graph the left-hand side, if we draw x and y axis, we know the function is defined at x equals 0 because we have square root of a, b, and c. So at x equals 0, the function of the left-hand side will be somewhere here. And we can see the function might do some stuff like this, and x will go to infinity, and the left-hand side will go to infinity, because all three square root functions will go to infinity as x increases. We have the graph of the left-hand side of the equation, which starts somewhere here, and at x equals 0, it's somewhere here, and it just goes to infinity. So now we'll have a look at the graph of the right-hand side. The right-hand side is equal to b square root of b minus ax plus the square root of c minus bx plus the square root of a minus cx. So now what happens if I increase x? So similar to what I did before, what happens if x increases here? Now the opposite situation actually happens. And it's because b minus ax now decreases, because now there's a minus sign in front of, there's a minus sign in front of the a. The b minus ax decreases, and also recall a and b are positive, so that's the reason b minus ax decreases. And because b minus ax decreases, it means that the square root of b minus ax decreases. And similarly, all the square roots will decrease. So all of these square roots decrease, and it follows that if we add all these up, the entire right-hand side decreases. So the entire right-hand side decreases. So what the graph looks like of the right-hand side. So it means it might start, the right-hand side might start somewhere up here. In fact, it doesn't start up here, it actually goes forever in this direction. And this is because x gets smaller and smaller, the functions will go, each of these things will go to infinity as x goes to negative infinity. So the sum of all of them will go to infinity. So it means the function will go towards positive infinity in this direction, and then it will come down. So it's going to come down, and remember, the right-hand side and the left-hand side intersect at x equals 0, and the right-hand side will come down, and eventually it will stop because one of these terms will no longer be defined after a certain point. So the right-hand side will stop somewhere here, for example. So if we have a look at this diagram, what we can see is we have this intersection point over here. And if we go look before the intersection point, the left-hand side is below the intersection point, but the right-hand side will be above the intersection point. And if you look after the intersection point, now the right-hand side is below the intersection point, and the left-hand side is above the intersection point. So it means the left-hand side and the right-hand side functions can only intersect at one value of x. Therefore, it follows that this equation, original equation, it only has one solution, which is x equals 0. And just using the fact that the left-hand side increases as x increases and the right-hand side decreases as x increases, it follows that there is no other solution, so x equals 0 is the only solution. Okay, so that's it for this problem. So hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.